This is Jessie, and you're listening to the Curious Cabinet Podcast. Today I have kind of a short story. It's a ghost story because it is 100% spooky season now, and I'm so ready for it. So today I'm going to tell you about the Haunted Willard Library. So a little bit of the history. The Willard Library opened in 1885 and is the state of Indiana's oldest public library. It is an absolutely beautiful Victorian Gothic building. William Carpenter, or Carpenter, but sometimes it's spelled with a D in more in the history books. He was born in 1803 in Stafford, Vermont. He grew up working on his family's farm, but left in 1822. After a couple of years of traveling, he settled down in Evansville, Indiana. His younger brother had owned a wholesale dry goods business in Evansville and had asked for him to stay and become his business partner. This turned out to be great for Willard, and he became extremely successful. He eventually went on to become county commissioner, where he was also a huge success. He was an essential part of the completion of the Wabash and Erie Canal that resided in Evansville. He also established a strong railroad system in southern Indiana and usually used his own money to fund these projects. So this was a man who was just really wanted to better his community, for himself and for everyone. He was nicknamed the pioneer of public charity in Evansville and was known for being a philanthropist. He established a sanctuary home for women in 1865, known as the Christian Home, and used his own basement as a stop for the Underground Railroad so slaves could make their way across the Ohio River and head further north. His last project was the Willard Library. He started building the library with the idea that it would be free to the public, and by public, he meant everyone. In a time where blacks and whites were strictly supposed to be separated, he believed that was absurd. He stood up for the rights of the colored Americans who were struggling at that time. He believed that everybody should be able to enjoy the library. The construction began in 1876 on the property where a circus used to be located, but had been discontinued because of the economic crisis. He chose the workers and the materials himself and worked on the project almost every day with architects Robert Boyd and Henry Brinkley. They broke ground on May 17, 1877, but unfortunately had to pause the project due to the depression that was currently happening at that time. Construction ended up resuming in 1882, and at 80 years old, Willard was climbing on the roof and hauling wheelbarrows around. Unfortunately, he had never gotten to see his last piece of work completed. In November of 1883, he died of a paralyzing stroke. The Willard Library opened on March 28, 1885. Willard Library is open to the public free of charge. With its wide variety of genealogy research tools and databases, it has become well known for its impressive genealogical records. It's a great place if you want to start building a family tree. The building itself is an architectural masterpiece. It's a towering Gothic building with massive pointed arches, stained glass, and intricate brickwork. Willard poured his fortune into it in his later years. And some believe that that's exactly why the Gray Lady has become the library's resident ghost. See, now, Willard Carpenter had a daughter, Louise Carpenter. She was his only child and was set to inherit his fortune. But instead, he left most of his wealth to the library and other charities. I looked and I couldn't find any sort of information if he just didn't, like, why the reason for that, because you couldn't find any information about if they were arguing or if they weren't close or what the deal was. But Louise, obviously furious with the decision, sued for her inheritance and claimed in the end years her father was not of sound mind. Unfortunately for her, she had lost the case in court. Some people believe that the infamous Gray Lady is Louise, refusing to leave the building she blames for stealing her legacy. The library's been a community staple for over 140 years, but its creaky floors, shadowy corners, and old boiler room have been creeping people out since at least 1937. That's when the first recorded ghost sighting happened. And trust me, it's a doozy. We'll get to that in a second, but first know this. Willard Library is so haunted, they've got 24/7 ghost cams online at willardghosts.com, where thousands watch for orbs and shadowy figures. They also host Gray Lady ghost tours every fall. This place doesn't shy away from ghosts. It invites you to meet them. The story of the Gray Lady is where things get really weird. The first sighting happened in 1937, down in the basement. The custodian, who usually came in early, headed to the boiler room to check the furnace. It's early, around 3 a.m., and the library is completely empty. The only light on is his flashlight. He gets to the bottom of the stairs, and there she is. A woman in a long, flowing gray dress staring right at him. Her face is pale, her eyes intense, and she's just standing there, not moving. The guy drops his flashlight, bolts upstairs, and quits his job that day. That's how it started, and that's when the legend of the Gray Lady was born. But no one really knows who the Gray Lady is. The leading theory points to Louise Carpenter. The timing fits. Louise died in the early 20th century, and her grudge against the library was no secret. People believe her spirit lingers, tied to the place that stole her inheritance. But there are other theories too. Some say she's a former librarian whose child died in a tragic accident at the library. We'll get to that in a little bit. Others think she could be a woman who drowned in a nearby canal, her restless spirit drawn to the library's energy. Whoever she is, the Gray Lady is active and she's not subtle. And she's got a whole playbook. Like, visitors and staff report seeing a translucent figure in a gray dress, often in the children's section, which is her favorite spot. She's been caught on those ghost cams as a misty shape or a glowing orb, especially late at night. One librarian told a story about shelving books when a strong floral perfume, think like old school lavender, just hit her out of nowhere. There was no flowers, no air fresheners, just the scent of the Gray Lady. Another time, a researcher was alone in a reading room when the lights flickered, and a book fell off the shelf, open to a page about family disputes. Coincidence? It could be, but it's kind of hard to shrug off. She's also a bit of a prankster. Faucets turn on and off by themselves, especially in the basement restrooms. Chairs get rearranged overnight. Books end up misshelved like someone's playing a game with the alphabet. One volunteer swore she heard footsteps pacing up the stairs, but when she checked, no one was there. And then there's the cold spots. Sudden drops of 10 to 20 degrees, often right before something happens, like a door slamming or shut with no draft. Paranormal investigators love this place. They've recorded EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, picking up whispers like Louise or go away. Temperature gauges spike, and cameras watch shadows moving across the walls. But here's the thing. The Gray Lady isn't mean. She's not out to hurt anyone. It's more like she's just kind of annoyed. Like she's still mad about being cheated out of her dad's money and wants everybody to know that this library is hers. And now the Gray Lady does steal the show, but there are whispers of other spirits at Willard Library. These are less documented, so take them with a grain of salt, but they do add to the creepy vibe. There's talk of a child's ghost. Some visitors, especially in the children's section, report seeing a small figure darting between bookshelves or hearing faint giggles when no kids are around. And that's just one of the creepiest things ever. Like, I don't know if any of my listeners have any experience with ghosts. I do personally, myself. I'm a firm believer. I've seen ghosts, and ghosts are gross. Kid ghosts, little kids, are the creepiest thing ever, especially if you hear the laughs. It's so creepy. But anyway, one story ties this to the alternate Gray Lady theory. A librarian whose child fell from a ladder in the library and had died. The idea is that both the mother, maybe the Gray Lady, and the child haunt the place, and they're kind of stuck in a loop of grief. It's just like, that's so sad. Like, I don't want to believe that that's it. I just don't want to believe that's it. There's not much hard evidence since most of the witnesses' accounts are attributed to the Gray Lady, but there have been reports of toys moving or tiny shadows, but that's alone is enough to make your skin crawl. Then there's a man. A few people have seen a tall, shadowy figure in old-fashioned clothes, usually near the administrative offices or the main reading room. Some think this could be Willard Carpenter himself, keeping an eye on his legacy. Unlike the Gray Lady, this presence feels more protective and not disruptive. One staff member said she felt a watchful energy while closing up, like someone was making sure she locked all the doors, and there was no perfume or no pranks. It was just a quiet, looming figure. Are these real spirits, or is the Gray Lady just wearing different hats? It's kind of hard to say. You know, old buildings like this, creaky, drafty, full of shadows, they can play tricks on your mind. But when you've got dozens of people over decades reporting similar things, it's tough to dismiss entirely. If you're interested in experiencing this yourself, Willard Library is open to the public. I think I said that before. It's free to visit if you're in Evansville, and you can walk in during regular hours, Monday through Saturday, and just soak in the atmosphere. The Gothic architecture alone is worth the trip, but keep your senses sharp. You might catch a whiff of that phantom perfume or feel a chill in the children's section. If you're serious about ghost hunting, check out the Gray Lady Ghost Tours in October. They're free, but donations are appreciated, and you need to book early because they fill up fast. If you can't make it to Indiana, there's still no problem at all. Go to willardghosts.com and watch the live ghost cams. They've got multiple angles, children's room, research areas, hallways, and people have captured all kinds of weird stuff, from orbs to full-on shadowy figures. That a library even keeps a ghost log of viewer screenshots so you can compare notes. If you're a skeptic, you might chalk this up to being an old building's quirks. Creaky pipes, faulty wiring, overactive imaginations. And yeah, a 140-year-old structure is bound to make noises. But when you've got custodians quitting, EVPs whispering names, and webcams catching things that science can't quite explain, it makes you wonder. If you've ever been to Willard Library and had a paranormal experience, leave a comment below. I'm curious to hear if anyone's seen anything recently. Thanks for checking out today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week.